Right, we are following a developing story, breaking news right now. A car chase happening in northwest Miami-Dade. A helicopter following this white Chrysler, 2016 Chrysler. We're hearing it might be a stolen rental car. At this point, this car is now approaching Northwest 2nd Avenue. It was traveling from Northwest 131st Street.
We're hearing some word that perhaps the person inside of this car has a gun. But again, these are sort of unconfirmed reports. Very close call right there as they made that turn. They were on 95. They were also on the turnpike, this person in this car earlier. And now we're just getting our chopper up there and following them as they very high-speed chase here through parts of North Miami-Dade County.
Yeah, we're hearing the chase started roughly 10 minutes ago, and you can just see how erratic that driver is going. Just went straight through. It looks like those barriers, and it looks like as well some barricades that were up. Is this near Sun Life Stadium?
It is. They are saying it is the parking lot there of the Dolphin Stadium right now as he's pulling out now into traffic, he or she, but we understand it was a male behind the wheel of this car. It is a rental car, we are told. Perhaps this person had a gun earlier in the day, perhaps threatened somebody. These are still information just coming into our newsroom. Sort of stuck in traffic right now.
And this area is really congested. This is now the city of Miami Gardens, and it looks like he is driving into what appears to be just a parking lot, some kind of shopping district, and just swerving in and out of traffic. You know, Kristen, whenever we covered these chases, they're a little crazy, obviously, especially during the lunch hour period where there can be a lot of heavy traffic. And the concern here is that this driver seems to not care as it's swerving in and out of traffic at a high rate of speed. Clearly, residential area where those speeds are should be at about 30 miles per hour, zooming by much faster.
Yeah, it's very hard for us, as you can imagine, to tell exactly what roads we're talking about. But we do know this is in the area of Dolphin Stadium, and this person was in the parking lot of Dolphin Stadium for a short time. Miami Gardens is the city we're talking about, now on a road that is pretty free of cars, which is certainly a good thing since this person is in a neighborhood driving erratically. Of course, it's summertime, and kids are not going to be in school. They're going to be out and about, and so this is definitely a very frightening situation.
Welcome back. We are following some breaking news right now for you near the Miami Gardens area. These are live pictures from our chopper over a police chase. Right now you are seeing this 2016 white Chrysler rental car that police are chasing throughout the Miami Gardens area. This is near the football stadium there. We have seen this car make some quite interesting maneuvers at this point, possibly putting other drivers in danger. As you can see, though, that driver moving through a residential area at this point. No police too close behind the driver or that vehicle at this time, but of course they are watching from overhead with the police chopper as well as with news choppers. Right now we're hearing that the car just passed 32nd Avenue. You're seeing it make some erratic turns there in the area as it tries to find the next spot to perhaps make a little bit more, take a little more ground in this chase away from police.
And we actually saw him crash through a fence near the stadium. He's gone through numerous streets. We were told about 15 minutes ago that he was headed on I-95 originally near 79th. He got off at 125th, turned around, got back on I-95, headed north, took the turnpike. From the turnpike, he continued to make his way towards the stadium, and then we are looking at him now in the Miami Gardens area.
At this point, what we're hearing as far as how this chase started, we're hoping to get some more details from law enforcement at this point. What we're hearing that this person possibly made some threats on a bus, armed threats on a transit bus somewhere in Miami-Dade County. Again, the vehicle we are following is a 2016 white Chrysler vehicle that we understand is a rental car. Not exactly sure how this person obtained this rental car, whether it was taken from the rental facility or from someone else who had rented that car. Of course, we're hoping to get that information to you as quickly as possible. But again, this is in the Miami Gardens area near the stadium. At last check, this was near 32nd Avenue and 207th Street. You could see the car losing control in some spots as it tries to make some very quick turns, driving over some grass of some nearby lawns. If you know anyone who lives in this area at this time or who frequents this area, it is around lunchtime on this Monday afternoon, be sure to tell them, get them on the phone, let them know what's going on in the area so they could potentially steer clear, stay off the roads until police have the situation under control.
And we've been watching this during the commercial break right before we came out to you at home, and we saw this car crash through a fence that was blocked off. After that, went through what appeared to be a strip mall of a gas station of some sort with a lot of cars in there, and as it was pulling out, nearly crashed into two other vehicles. This is the area, again, 37th Avenue is the last location we were given, 37th Avenue and 207th Street.
And as you can tell from this video, there are many houses in this area. Seems like a residential area. We're hearing that he's coming up, or the driver's coming up on a dead end. That doesn't seem to stop the person behind the wheel at this point, driving on the grass. Now looking like driving over a sidewalk, trying to evade authorities. But even with the wider shots we've been able to show you, we don't see any police on the tail of that vehicle. At this point, of course, law enforcement does have air support. There is an officer right there. Looks like that officer is going to try to turn around to continue to pursue this person. You could see Miami-Dade Police air support, I believe, the chopper there, keeping a close eye on this vehicle in order to give law enforcement on the ground a better idea of where this person is and where they are going, although it seems very hard to predict this person's movements as they're driving very erratically throughout these very residential streets. Now, it seems to be on a larger stretch of roadway here. Eastbound on 213th is what we are being told at this point. But again, so many twists and turns in just the short chase so far that it's been hard to keep track of exactly where this person and this car is. At one point on I-95 by 79th Street, traveling northbound, then hopped on the turnpike, now on the side streets, on those surface streets there in the Miami Gardens area.
And if you're just joining us, we are watching a high-speed chase involving a 2016 white Chrysler. We're told that this is a rental car and that the drivers, the person in the car, made some threats with a gun to a transit bus. So again, we've been following this for over the last 15 minutes or so. This starting off on I-95, heading northbound near the 79th Street. The vehicle exiting off of 125th and then making its way back onto I-95 to the turnpike and then into the Miami Gardens area.
Now that the driver appears to be on a longer stretch of road there, uninterrupted by other vehicles except for that van there you see, it was able to travel just a bit faster, slowing down a bit to make that turn at this point. But of course, police using quite a bit of caution, keeping their distance from what we can see based on our Chopper 4 imagery here over Miami Gardens as this car speeds through some of these one-way, or rather one lane in each direction streets throughout this area. You see several homes. They've also driven through some businesses at one point earlier in this chase. As Walter has mentioned, the car drove through a fence. All of this happening near the stadium where the Miami Dolphins play football. The team obviously not there today, so not much in the way of traffic in that area. Just your usual Monday morning or Monday afternoon commuters, specifically perhaps the lunch rush on 27th Avenue. Quite a bit of businesses there, so no doubt plenty of people in that area who should be on alert for what is happening right now. If you know anyone who lives or works in the area, be sure to give them a heads up in case they're not able to be by a TV right now.
And I want to point out that this is in a residential area, so this is very dangerous as this car is zooming and zipping through the area. We're not sure how many people are in this vehicle. We're not told if there's a male or a female. How many, again, are in this car? And what's really also something that you may have noticed if you've been watching, that we haven't seen police following this car except for one car as this vehicle was whipping through an area. We saw one police car, but it appears that the police are staying far away from this vehicle, and as long as the chopper is up over the air, they're going to be able to locate and follow him very closely.
And just to give you the latest on the position, according to our producers who are keeping a very close eye on this situation at our assignment desk as well, we are being told that the last known position in 32nd Avenue and 207th Street westbound, but of course so many twists and turns so far, it's hard to keep an exact positioning on exactly where this driver is, other than to say in the Miami Gardens area near several homes. You could see all those driveways that this person, the driver, very little regard for, driving up on sidewalks, on the swales, on the grass there, just basically trying to outmaneuver the authorities. And at this point, able to do so because those authorities, those police officers, nowhere in sight. It's 12:30 right now on Monday afternoon, and we do want to let our viewers who are just tuning in know that your normal programming is not on right now because we are maintaining our coverage of this breaking situation here out of Miami Gardens, where police are chasing this 2016 white Chrysler vehicle that we understand is a rental vehicle. From what we know right now, according to law enforcement, what they've been able to tell us here at CBS 4 is that the person driving this vehicle or someone in this vehicle somehow threatened someone on a bus with a gun. So we are trying to get more clarification of exactly when that happened, where that happened, whether anyone was hurt in that situation, and of course how this person went from a transit bus to being inside of this rental vehicle.
Now, the last location that we got is that he was heading east on 207th, but it looks like he might be just going around the blocks, you know, over maybe a 3 or 4 block area. We did see just recently 2 police cars heading in the opposite direction as this vehicle was whipping past. We are following a high-speed chase right now. This is a 2016 white Chrysler, and we are told that this is a rental car. So police not able to track down a license plate as to who this vehicle may be belonging to because, as I said, it's a rental car.
We were able to see one cop car. It appears that there is another cop car there as well, but the driver of that Chrysler was able to outmaneuver that police vehicle once again, driving over the grass to simply get away. The street not totally blocked, so he did have a passageway of escape through that area. Again, for those of you just tuning in for our typical programming, we will maintain our coverage here from Chopper 4 of this breaking situation out of Miami Gardens, where police continue to chase this vehicle. It looks like the car is getting closer to more of a major intersection right now, going against traffic to try to get to the lane that he wants to, or he or she. We're not sure exactly who exactly is behind the wheel at this point, but now on a much more open stretch of roadway, not in specifically that residential area any longer, but of course this car has made many, many turns so far. Very hard to keep track of exactly where this person is going next. Once again, another turn there. I'm hearing it's a 207th and 37th Avenue, a bit of a curve to the road there. The vehicles in front of that car not stopping the driver, not slowing that person down in any way. Again, not able to see any law enforcement too close by. There have been some positioned at certain areas, but the car has been able to just zoom right past them.
And if you were just tuning in, we've been following this now for approximately about 15 minutes. This started near 79th. We are told this vehicle headed onto I-95. Continued northbound, got off I-95 at 125th, made its way somehow back onto the same entrance at 125th to the turnpike near the stadium, crashed through a fence that was blocked off with barriers. After it slammed through that fence, it made its way through a strip mall, what appeared to be a gas station, and maneuvered its way in and around a couple of vehicles, almost crashing into both of them before making its way through this residential area that we were watching for the last 10 minutes.
If you're familiar with this area of Miami Gardens on 27th Avenue, which they are near, but I'm not sure if that's actually the street they are on right now. It's very hard to tell. Obviously, this is not 27th Avenue, this smaller street, but lots of businesses, lots of traffic around this time of the day. So be sure to alert your loved ones, your friends, anyone you know who may live or work in that area. Alert them to this situation in case they're not by a TV, so they know exactly what's going on. Probably best for them to either stay off the road at this point, because this driver driving very erratically, very little regard for the other vehicles on the road at this point. From what we have seen, it doesn't look like any cars have been clipped or hit in any way, but this driver did zoom right through a fence, so it did not stop that driver from doing that. Eastbound 211th from 34th Street is the last known position, but that car moving so very quickly, that positioning will be changing rapidly. Police even having a tough time keeping track of this vehicle because of just how quickly that car is moving, erratic turns, switching lanes. As you could see, that car just went over the double yellow line and then quickly crossed back over because of an oncoming vehicle. So a very dangerous situation for drivers out there in that area at this time. And
we're just told that this vehicle is heading toward a 27th. And what's really important to point out now is that we're in the lunch hour break. So a lot of people who are working, maybe leaving their place of business, getting on the road and running into, this activity here. So if you know of anyone who is in this area, if you are in this area, probably a good idea to stay off the roads for at least a little while.
Absolutely. And again, for our viewers just turning in, we do want to give you an idea of exactly what is going on here besides the obvious, a police chase that we are staying on top of via Chopper 4. According to law enforcement, so far what we know is that this all started as some sort of an armed threat against someone on a Miami-Dade transit bus. That is what we know so far. We're really trying to get more information for you, but at this hour, this is what we know. It appears that the car now is driving parallel to one of the larger roadways. I think that might be the Turnpike. It's very hard for me to tell from this particular vantage point. We just want to let our viewers know right now that we are about to switch on to delay. And what that means for you is that you're going to see a bit of a delay in your picture here. You won't hear us or see us for about 5 seconds or so because this is a breaking situation and we do not know how it could end. We do want to switch to delay for you, so just be cognizant of that in the next few moments here on CBS 4.
Okay, and that delay is now over, and you're watching a high-speed chase. If you're just joining us, this high-speed chase taking place roughly about 30 minutes ago. We are following a 2016 white Chrysler. We are told is a rental car. We do not know how many people are in there, male, female, and we are told that they're approaching the County Line Road. And we are told that the person in this vehicle, or people in this vehicle, have made threats with a gun to a transit bus. And you can see the car not able to stay on the road because there are cars blocking the way, so it decided just to make its way onto the grass, onto the shoulder. And the car is now approaching Northwest 2nd Avenue and County Line.
And if you're not familiar, again, with that area, County Line Road, as it says, is the dividing line between Miami-Dade and Broward County. That car very close to just nicking another car there on the road, made a quick turn, now traveling southbound on Northwest 2nd near County Line Road. Again, for people who live in or travel through this area who might not be watching, please go ahead and call those friends and loved ones who you know who might be in that area to alert them of the situation so they can take the proper precautions and hopefully steer clear of this area. Now that car going northbound on 441 at a high rate of speed. Again, throughout the last 15 minutes or so that we have been watching this chase, we haven't actually seen any police cars close on the tail. It looks like that might be one right there. It's very hard to tell from our vantage point. It looked like there was some sort of decal on the siding. Several police cars there. We are going to zoom out just a little bit. Chopper 4 having an issue keeping track of exactly where this car is. Our producer's telling us that the vehicle did turn into a shopping plaza in that area. You can see a parking lot. This very heavily traveled area for people walking, pedestrians in parking lots. So hopefully this can have a safe conclusion here in this area, though it appears this will continue as the car has somehow managed to get out of that parking lot, evading authorities yet again. And
that vehicle just exited the parking lot there and is headed southbound on 441. We saw it heading northbound on the opposite end of that shopping mall, and now it just continues to go. Again, Lauren had pointed out that now the vehicle is going in the opposite direction of traffic. Coming in the other direction. We haven't seen any vehicles so far. Hopefully, we will not see any cars. And there it is. It's going back into the right lane of traffic and passing 204.
Looks like it's running into just a bit more traffic. Not a surprise for this time of day as people take their lunch breaks. Once again, that vehicle on the wrong side of the road, all the way to that driver's left, but really what should be the right side of the road for those oncoming drivers. You can only imagine the feeling of those people in those vehicles right now coming face to face with this oncoming car. That car now has crossed over into the right side of the road, but again, doing the wrong thing, evading police at this point. Near the Miami Gardens area, we do want to tell you this started quite a while ago, probably 20-30 minutes ago from my understanding, in Miami near I-95 and 79th Street. That's where we first caught wind of this chase. The car now slowing down just a little bit to make its way through that intersection, but not coming to a complete stop. Making a turn now up onto the sidewalk and continuing on its way. The driver, what we know so far is either the driver or someone else in the car. Unclear how many occupants are in that vehicle at this point. We do know that there is just one person in the vehicle at this time. A man, we are told, is the person who is driving right now. And according to law enforcement, what we've been able to gather thus far is that the person, the man driving this car, somehow threatened people on a Miami-Dade transit bus. Threatened with a weapon is what we are told. We're, of course, trying to get more details on that, and we'll bring it to you as soon as we know more.
And we are told that this car just pulled into the 401 gas station. It appears that this is the same gas station that it raced through a little earlier. The last location that we have is northbound on Northwest 3rd. And again, this is a white Chrysler, a 2016 white Chrysler. We are told that this is a rental car. And this driver, we now have confirmed that it is a single person, a man. He made verbal threats to a woman on a Metro Transit bus.
As you can see, there is an officer following behind. It's a little bit difficult to see just based on the vantage point of our chopper. I believe I just heard that the vehicle is going westbound on 187th. Law enforcement close behind, but not too close, because again, this is a very dangerous situation for law enforcement as well as the other drivers on the road right now. It appears that vehicle back into another residential area in the area of Miami Gardens. So slow going at some spots, but that car, once it gets into those wider lanes of traffic with a little bit more give, it does start to go quite a bit faster, making this chase even more difficult for police. If you're just now tuning in to CBS 4 News, this obviously not the programming you're expecting to see at this time of day. We will stay on top of this breaking situation, a police chase. That vehicle was just on Miami Gardens Drive and now just made another turn and yet another turn. It looks like going back into some sort of a shopping center, perhaps a gas station or a bank or maybe a Walgreens parking lot is what I'm hearing, driving just past the pharmacy spot there. Unfortunately, our Chopper 4 picture, we are having an issue at this point, so we weren't able to see exactly what he was doing for the last few seconds there, but now that vehicle is back on Miami Gardens Drive. And
we have seen this car driving erratically. We've seen him going in the opposite direction on 441. He was headed southbound in the northbound lanes. We've seen him along driving on the shoulder, going around cars on the turnpike. We've seen him crash through a gated fence. We've seen him narrowly miss cars, weaving in between many cars on the sidewalks. Lauren, this has been incredibly dangerous. A lot of the police vehicles that we've seen, maybe about 5 or 6 total, have been keeping their distance, but the police chopper is following them very closely, as is our chopper, to bring us these pictures.
Another car right now banging right there into a police car that looks like a Miami Gardens police SUV, and now that person, the driver, has exited the vehicle, seeming to surrender himself to police. He is face down on the ground, arms extended in front of him now, putting his arms behind his back. Law enforcement staying on top of this situation. Multiple police officers right now. Our producer giving us a location. We're hearing it is 183rd and 4th in Miami Gardens. Police able to take this person into custody. Once again, if you were just tuning in, here's a recap of what just transpired in the Miami Gardens area, beginning near Miami on I-95 and 79th Street. That's where we first picked up what turned into a chase up 95, then onto the turnpike, off of the highways and onto the surface streets in Miami Gardens. This vehicle, Chrysler 2016 vehicle, a rental car. Somehow this man ended up inside that vehicle after verbally threatening a woman on a Metro Transit bus. This information coming to us from Miami-Dade Police. Thankfully, Miami-Dade Police, as well as Miami Gardens PD and all the agencies involved in this situation, were able to bring it to a safe conclusion here in Miami Gardens.
And again, the wrap up here is at 183rd and 4th in Miami Gardens.
All right. We'll have much more on this, of course, on CBS 4 News at 5 and 6 later today.
Thanks for joining us.
In the meantime, the man involved in this chase has an unusual defense as to why he ran from police in the first place.
Yes, I'm watching on the news and I was talking to him too.
As the white car sped through traffic, weaving in and out of cars, the driver, 24-year-old Antonio Jackson, according to his mother, was on the phone with her.
And he say, "Mom, the police is chasing me." And I'm like, "Where are you?" And he told me where he was located, so I came.
She says she told him to stop. On another line, his father was also talking to his mother, telling the mother to assure their son that cameras from helicopters following him would capture everything that went down.
He was scared that the police might either shoot at him or beat him. So our advice was to get to a gas station and stop where everybody could see.
And here's what our cameras saw. Video captures what looks like a Miami Gardens police officer firing his gun from inside his car. After that, Jackson jumps out with his hands up and gets on the ground.
My concern was his life, making sure he's still here.
Miami Gardens police would later say in a press release that they are investigating the discharge of an officer's firearm. All of this beginning with the report of a man threatening someone he knew on a Metro bus and then hopping into a car and taking off. That's the investigation that started this chase. Both Miami-Dade and Miami Gardens say it's not their investigation. As far as what the police departments are investigating, Miami Gardens tells us that they are investigating an officer-involved shooting. They are also investigating Jackson hitting their police car. Miami-Dade says they're investigating the chase, but when it comes to this threat against a woman, both police departments say it's the other's case.
A 24-year-old bonded out of jail Tuesday morning. He paid his mom a visit at her home behind me, and he denied to her the details of his arrest form, which alleged that the entire chase began because of a girl. Love, or in this case, lust, can drive you to do some crazy things. At least according to police, who said 24-year-old Antonio Jackson led them on a high-speed chase after a woman turned him down. He claims that none of this began because of that girl.
Nothing. He don't know nothing about no girl.
An arrest form detailed the alleged misencounter. Police say Jackson was in his car when he tried to catch the attention of a woman who was waiting for a county bus. When she ignored him, Jackson allegedly said, quote, "You too good to talk to," an expletive, and reached for what the woman thought was a gun. Now, why Jackson decided to lead police on a chase that took him through a barricade at Dolphin Stadium depends on who you ask.
They scared him because it was too many and they was pointing the guns, so he drove off. That's why he caught me. And he was like, "Mom, the police chasing me."
Jackson's mother said he was on the phone with her as he weaved in and out of traffic, narrowly missing cars. At one point, he drove on the wrong side of a street and raced through a park. The chase came to an end near his mother's home when Jackson crashed into a Miami Gardens police officer who opened fire through the front windshield. How close did he get to where you were during all of this?
Around the corner, right there.
Oh, right around the
I was right there. When he called, he kept calling me.
Do you wish maybe things had been done differently on both sides?
Yes, on both sides. I wish he would have, I'm not saying, condoning him and fleeing, but what he's to do when he's scared.
Jackson is facing several charges, including reckless driving, fleeing from police, and driving on a suspended license. Reporting in Miami Gardens, I'm Carlos Suarez, Local 10 News.
And now to the latest on that wild police chase through Miami Gardens area you saw right here on 7 News at noon. We've heard from the driver's family, and we're now hearing from the driver himself. 7's Jessica Hawley is standing by live with the exclusive. Jessica? That's right. Today he's telling us why he ran from police. The whole chase played out on television. 7 Skyforce HD overhead for the whole thing. Let's go to video. Police were chasing Antonio Jackson. He's 24 years old. Police say they were trying to stop Jackson related to a report of a man waving a gun at someone on a Metro bus earlier in the day. Jackson tells 7 News initially he stopped, and then he took off after he saw guns pointed at him. He says he was scared he was going to be shot and wanted to get closer to home before stopping. The chase lasted about 20 minutes and came to a crashing end into a police SUV, and then a Miami Gardens police officer fired into the car, missing Jackson. Jackson tells 7 News he ran out of fear, and he says he didn't intentionally crash into that police SUV.
Right here where I crashed into the officer car, at that moment when I was turning the corner like to trying to make it to my block, when I seen the officer, he had his gun pointed at me. That's what made me duck and flew inside the officer cruiser, and then the shot went off. And that's when I definitely just got to the floor, and at that point I was just like shook.
Jackson says he did not have a weapon on him, but he was driving with a suspended license. Charges against him include assault and running from police. We're live in Miami Gardens. Jessica Hawley, 7 News.
Miles an hour or so. At one point, the truck hit a pole or a tree and just kept going. We're not sure what started this or why this guy is eluding police here. We are still working on getting more details on exactly what's going on. We're going to stay on this very closely throughout this newscast, follow this chase, and bring you any new information as it comes into our newsroom.
I want to go back to to the chase we've been telling you about for the last few minutes here now. This began in Holden, Mass., and now you can see the speeds have accelerated. They're going through a small town. This is in the area of Route 111 in Hudson, New Hampshire. You can see law enforcement pursuing this pickup truck. And last time we checked in on this, about 3 minutes ago, they were going through a congested area. It looked like a downtown area at a much slower rate of speed. They have started to accelerate now as the state trooper, it would appear here, is following closely behind and appears to be in a residential neighborhood here as well. So now we have the truck turning left onto another side street, and this is all from Skyfox as we take a look.
And we know at one point that truck was going about 90 miles per hour and was swerving and hit a pole or some sort of a tree, but that didn't stop the driver. They kept on going. We are working our sources right now to try and figure out why police are pursuing the driver of truck and what may have started all this, but this has been going on for quite some time, Ak.
Yeah, and you can see that law enforcement typically holds back. They aren't looking as if they want to try and make some type of, at least get close enough to make contact with them, but now they're slowed down again with the speeds, and you have to wonder as they go through this grid of streets here whether or not there may be other vehicles following along and maybe coming in at a different intersection and maybe try to cordon them off here. But right now they are maintaining a very close pursuit. They're not holding back at all. And again, in a residential area like this, there's not much time to move here. And now he's slowing down almost to a complete stop.
Yeah, it looks like this may be a dead end here in a residential neighborhood. We're going to stay on top of this and see if he gets out of the car. Let's watch what happens here.
Well, oftentimes it's best to pull off of these types of shots because you're not aware of what's going on inside the vehicle at this point. Law enforcement does have him stopped, it appears right now. State troopers up in New Hampshire. Again, this in the area of 111 in Hudson, New Hampshire. This was a chase that started in Holden, Mass., continued on streets, and you can see guns drawn and the suspect moving out of that vehicle right now. Plenty of law enforcement and also dogs as well. And now they're incorporating the arrest right here. Again, this was a chase that began about in the area about 30 minutes ago, we understand. Holden, Massachusetts makes it all the way up to Hudson, New Hampshire, Route 111, and then they got off at that point. Law enforcement closed in, got into a residential neighborhood, but speeds at one point up over 90 miles per hour.
And the driver, we don't know if it's a man or a woman, but went to a dead end here and just stopped and surrendered and gave up.
Let's see, they have the K-9 unit on there as well.
And it looks like the person is in handcuffs.
And it appears he has been arrested at this point.
Again, we are still working to find out what started all of this and why the driver was running from police. Again, he had hit something, but just kept going, didn't seem to stop him. And it appears that we had several undercover officers who were following in pursuit of this. Their cars were not marked, but now we see a handful of them surrounding this suspect here.
Well, and they had time to get into place because they had been moving along on this pursuit for quite some time, and other jurisdictions obviously got involved as well, and now law enforcement has got their man, as they say, here on the ground. We believe this to be a male individual, judging from the size from here, looking at this right now, but again, not sure the exact details of why this pursuit started in the first place. Going to work our sources here, and we'll get you some information just as soon as it comes into our newsroom. We'll take a break, be back with more in a moment. Police eventually arrested that suspect without incident right here. No word on who the suspect is or why he was running. As far as we can tell, no one was hurt.
Let's get you right to that video if you haven't seen it. At 5:06, we got our first look at this police chase live here on air, and you see the driver spin out of control for a brief moment after being bumped by police in Nashua, New Hampshire. At this point, the chase, which started in Holden, Massachusetts, had been going on for about 40 minutes. We'll get back to the video in a second, but let's put this in perspective for you with this map we put together. Holden is roughly 60 miles away from Nashua, New Hampshire. During this pursuit, the car crossed state lines several times.
affected here. You don't know what's going on at that point. What, as a police officer, are you doing when you approach that vehicle once it has come to a stop?
You obviously go to your training and your tactics. You had plenty of officers. You had canines there. You had officers with firearms drawn. There were tasers on scene. It appeared the individual was surrendering. If that's the case, you put handcuffs on him and you take him into custody. Now, something caused those officers to throw several strikes. Was that a last-minute clinch by the suspect to grab a weapon? If that's the case, that's great. Let's hear that. But absent that, there was no reason for the force to utilize there. That appeared to be not proportional to the resistance they were getting. It appeared he was surrendering. He was on the ground. He was outnumbered. And as I watched it, I can tell you I was a little disappointed. I'm going to wait for an investigation, and there will be investigation into this as to exactly what happened. But clearly, might have been
a car chase crossed state lines. The trooper was seen on Sky Fox video throwing punches at a suspect who surrendered. Fox 25's Bob Ward tells us the trooper is suspended with pay now, but his ultimate punishment, that has yet to be decided.
It is Sky Fox video that's been seen all across the country, and it's video that is now forcing the suspension of a Massachusetts state trooper seen throwing punches at a car chase suspect after the suspect surrendered and was down on the ground. 50-year-old Richard Simoni of Worcester led police on an hour-long chase from Holden to Nashua, New Hampshire Wednesday. After the chase, Simoni is seen on video with his hands up as he goes to the ground to give himself up, and that's when the punches from police were thrown. This Sky Fox video was seen live on Fox 25 News. On Thursday, New Hampshire State Police identified one of its own troopers in the video and ordered him suspended without pay and forced him to give up his gun, badge, and cruiser. At Framingham State Police headquarters, the Mass State Police trooper identified throwing punches on the video was ordered to appear before a duty status hearing. That trooper appeared with the union representative before a three-person panel, which suspended the trooper with pay pending a full internal investigation. The union rep did not speak to us, nor did Mass State Police Colonel Richard McEwen, who we briefly saw at headquarters just before the hearing began. The suspended Massachusetts state trooper is 32 years old. He was assigned to the Andover Barracks, and he has been a member of the Massachusetts State Police since 2011. There's no word on how long this investigation is going to take.